everybody. Welcome to PC 101. To PC, the tools for an effective PC. You know, I've looked at this list and I know some of you are very experienced and some of you just joined us this year and some of you are somewhere in between. And that's so exciting because we can all share with each other. We've all got unique and interesting experiences. My name's Linda Horowitz. I've been in politics for many years, but I have not been a PC until 2016, when Donald Trump got elected, and I went, oh my God, I got to do more. So welcome and thank you for stepping up. Here's my favorite slide. PCs are the foundation for success. You are the reason why we will win or lose. I truly believe that how Democrats win is by our ground game. We win because we have the people and the energy and the excitement and the knowledge to make things happen and to get out there and be effective. So here's our agenda. I'm going to be doing the basic of what is a PC, what is a precinct, legislative districts, Congress. After that, George is going to do the specifics of all the things as a PC you can do to get organized, all of the kinds of activities you can do, how you can make them happen. So what is a PC for those of you who are new? And this is really important. A precinct committee person is an elected official. You are an official of the Democratic Party. You're not just a volunteer who is just signing up when you want to do something. You have been elected to represent the Democratic Party. And there's some responsibilities about that, which means that if you say you're a PC, when you are speaking with someone and you are talking about policy, you need to remember that you're representing the Democratic Party, not just yourself. You can represent yourself by not calling yourself a PC. If you want to say something and just give your name, you can do it. But the minute you tell somebody you are a PC, what you say after that, you are a representative of the Democratic Party. George, I see you have a thumbs up.
Yeah, Amanda just left. I was giving her the thumbs up to go.
Oh, okay. Okay. So a PC, you're elected for 2 years. It's a 2-year term. And many of you went through the process of getting reelected this year. It's on the even years. It's on the election years. You can't, if the positions aren't filled, a PC can be appointed to fill those slots. Right now, from what I've heard, the elections are pretty bogged down, and people who may have filled out those yellow forms to be appointed right now, they have not gone through, but that's being worked on. What is the role of a PC? The PCs, as I said, are the ground game. There's a huge pyramid here, and you're at the bottom and you are the brunt force. You are the force that's out there. You are the energy. You are the ones who will get people activated. And how do you do that? One of the big things that you're going to need to do is get to know the volunteers that are in your precinct. Find out who they are, recruit more people, get to know people who are Democrats in your precinct, recruit them, then work to organize your precinct when the Democratic Party is doing activities or you want to do activities. And that's what George is going to spend a whole lot of time talking about, is how do you do that? That's George's job. The other big piece is get to know your neighbors. One of the great things when I became a PC and I got my first list of my street, and I was going to go canvass on my street, and I went, oh, my neighbor across the street's a Democrat. I never knew that. And it was so exciting. I went over there and I invited them to dinner, and it was just so wonderful. So, it's just getting to know your neighbors, getting to know who, finding ways to sort of reach out to them. Okay, but in your legislative district, what is your role as a PC? You have a voice, and I think that's what I want everybody to realize here, in terms of, as I keep going here, is that as a PC, you have a voice. That's why you became a PC. So you are the representatives from your precinct. You are the ones who go to your LD and say, this is what my precinct needs. This is the type of thing we need to be working on because this is important to our precincts. You speak to your legislative district representatives and say, this is what my precinct needs. You can also be part of that leadership. You can run for the board. If there's a policy that the LD wants to pass in terms of reproductive rights or any of those types of policies, you get to vote. You get to vote for that to happen. You can also serve on the committees that are in your legislative district and help make those things happen. What's your role in Pima County? Again, you've got a voice. For those of you who have gone to Pima County meetings, you get a voice in policy decisions. There's a platform committee in Pima County. You get to vote on the platform. You get to be on the platform committees, as I put the committees. You get to elect who are the officers that are within Pima County. So it's really important. So it's another place you have a voice. And what about the state Democratic Party? You can be a representative that goes to the meetings at the state. You can get elected, and it's based on the number of PCs in your LD. The more Democrats you recruit, the more PCs end up in from your legislative district, the more representatives you get up at the state, and the more chances you have to make a difference in state policies. And you get to vote. If you become a state representative, you get to vote on policy at a state level. You can run for one of those state offices. You can serve on their committees. I mean, it's pretty exciting. So what is a precinct? A voting precinct is a geographical area used to report election results. The county uses it to determine things like what's on your ballot. So depending upon what school district you live in or where your precinct is in terms of all the races and the legislative districts. But one of the things I'm pointing out here, but George is going to talk a little more about, the precincts are no longer the place where people go to vote in person. It's not going to be by precinct anymore in Pima County. It's going to be by vote centers. There's going to be vote centers that people are going to go to. And that's a critical difference this year that every PC needs to understand when they're talking to the voters. Here's an interesting little piece here that, I hate this map. It's the only map I could find of Pima County with all of the precincts in it. So inside here, which is, Tucson, you've got these teeny tiny little precincts. And then out here, you have all of these blue lines are one precinct. So it really, depends somewhat to populations. But the shape and number of precincts are decided by the Board of Supervisors of the county. So they get to decide. And the number of voters can completely vary. I'm not quite understanding exactly how they do it. I should ask my own supervisor, Rex Scott, how they came up with it. And each precinct is unique. Some of them could have single families or apartments or mobile homes. Some of them are gated communities. So here's something that is really important. Each precinct by law is allotted one PC per party. How many additional PCs you get in each precinct is based on your party's registration. So the more Democrats you have registered in your precinct, the more PCs you get. So in my own precinct, when I joined in 2016, we had 6. And after this election, we're going to have 9. So, we just have been adding on Democrats and we keep getting more PCs. So what about legislative districts? Arizona has 30 legislative districts. I know this does not look like the state of Arizona in terms of its shape because I couldn't fit it in any other way. So, but these are the legislative districts. So here's Maricopa County up here. Here's Pima County. Here's Tucson down here. And what I want you to notice, because I'm going to show you another map that shows this just inside of Pima County. But Pima County is like this, okay? So you have parts of Pima County that are going all the way up north over here, all the way out here to the west, all the way up north over here. I mean, we just have, and then we have 17, of course, it's divided by the mountain range. So we really have, and we know that each LD elects one senator and one representative for a 2-year term. So here's the, this is just in Pima County itself. You saw that 19 keeps going up that way. You see where they're going in different directions. 21's going down that way. You've got, so only 2 districts right now, legislative districts are totally in Pima County, and that's 18 and 20. All the rest of them cross at least 2 districts, if not more. Okay, so this is what, I just got this from the recorder's office. So this is about as, as you can possibly get in terms of what the latest numbers are, but I'm sure it's not totally accurate. But this is really important for PCs to understand, is that what are the demographics within your legislative district? So if you see this and you think, okay, what's a safe district for a Democrat? Well, you would think maybe 18 because you've got this number here. But look at how many independents there are in 18. So in fact, if most of these independents voted with the Republicans, we would lose our legislative district race. So it's important to realize that the only potentially safe district this time around is 20. The rest of the districts all have at least, some inkling of danger depending upon how the independents do. So I wanted people to really see what this looked like. Okay, so now, what's a congressional district? We have 9 congressional districts. Each district elects one representative to the U.S. House of Representatives for a 2-year term. If you look down here in Pima County, there are 2 different legislative districts in Pima County right now. I mean, congressional districts in Pima County right now. So if you look at the demographics for that, which I think is really important to look at, and you look at 16, for example, it's not a safe district at all. I mean, we've got, again, look at the size of the independents. 7 is a little stronger, but it's things we need to appreciate as PCs, that that this is what we're going to be dealing with in this coming election. So I'm going to stop sharing here and open it up for questions. And again, these are just questions on what I went through, not about, okay, then what do I do about it? These are just, the nitty-gritty questions. I am going to turn the meeting over to George.
How hot will it be in Arizona this summer? So hot that people are sweating like a Republican on election day. What do you call an argument between a Republican politician and his donors? a conflict of interest. I'd like to welcome you all here today and thank you for being a part of this program. Precinct committee people, PCs, are the most grassroots level building blocks of the Arizona Democratic Party. They are the neighbors representatives of the Democratic Party. Now, all politics is local, and so this is why we organize into precincts or working groups. My name is George McGaffey. I've been a PC in 193 for the last 5 years. But what has worked for me doesn't necessarily mean it will work for you. Your precinct may have only 3 PCs, so you might work together with another precinct. I call this, when this happens, working groups, and we've used 2 or 3 of them in our area, where we've got only 1 PC in one precinct and 3 in another and 5 in another. We group together, and now we have 6, so we can be a little bit more attentive and a little bit more organized. Some of these working groups also might be called territories. Whatever the title is you give to these groups, it's important that you put them together and then go to work. Now, the best way to start out is to reach out to your LD chair to find out if there already is an organizational structure. That way you're not striking out on your own and doing a lot of work that has already been done. If you're not organizational structure, then get the names of the PCs in your precinct and start to work. In a few minutes, I'll tell you how to reach out to your LD chair. Once you get their names, it's a good thing to meet with the other PCs and make a plan. And you do this by sharing names, emails, phone numbers, addresses, and yes, date of birth. And I will tell you why that's important in a minute. You know, it's important to set up a structure, establish a leader. Maybe that's a chair or a group leader or a president, whatever you want to title. This is a person that is going to help you set up your structure. It could be and maybe should be somebody that's already experienced and is a mentor to you already. Also, select somebody that will keep the notes. You can label her or him secretary, but it's just someone. Keep it simple. Use the KISS principle. If this is somebody that's going to send out emails to remind you what you've formulated and who, what, and where, and how you're going to do it. The other person you should have established within this group is an outreach leader. Now, an outreach leader is someone that would be willing to be trained on the van. The van is and I will tell you more about the van here in a few minutes. Now, the other thing I said, date of birth. Why should I be concerned about the date of birth? Well, in the next few years, especially this year, you're going to be working extremely hard, and being a PC should have some benefits of being fun. And so if you share your birthday, you may be able to send birthday cards or all kinds of stuff. My PC that I work with, my cohort here that I work with, her and I have both gone through cancer, and so we have got each other's back. It is really important. She is more than just another PC in my area. She is a friend. So have fun at it. Share your dates of birth if you so choose, and send birthday cards. This adds more fun to our structure. Also, get together maybe once a month and have coffee or go for walks together. Whatever it is, it should be fun. It's not just hard work. Now, it's important, once you establish your group leadership, is to map out your neighborhoods. Set up dates or times or goals to go canvassing. Do some phone calling. Write postcards or letters. Send some text and do door knocking. Now, a van is a voter activated network. Remember the phrase, if it's not in the van, it didn't happen. So as you collect data, have your outreach chair or whoever that is that's trained with the van back to the van organizer. So the next time you use it, that information is in the van. If you're canvassing door to door, or face to face, that's the best way to do it. However, if you want to use no knock contact, that works too. And by leaving a flyer with your contact information or candidate's information, and follow it up with a phone call to let that people know that what you've left there is important and why you're reaching out to them. Now, canvassing tips. The best thing for a canvas tip is best time of day is Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon between 4 and sunset. But remember, don't go knocking on doors during football season. You might have some Arizona Cardinals a little upset. Evenings are a good time, just maybe not in the summer months when it's still hot. Wear something that identifies you. Maybe a button or a hat or a name tag. What you want to do is you never want to go alone. It's best to go in groups. If you plan to date to do this, go as a group. If you're like me and I feel pretty comfortable in walking my neighborhood, always letting my other PC in my area know which day I'm going out and at what time. So we kind of have each other back in case there would be any problems. They know where we're at. It's important to engage with your volunteers and the neighbors in your area. Have a house party. I always like to have a party of the Democrats in my area for my walk list at my house. One of the very first things they say is, I didn't know there were other Democrats in my area. Yet, as soon as we do, there are 20 or 30 of them just down the block from us. It's important also to meet up, have some parties to meet the candidates, invite some of your representatives and senators that are in your area, invite them over for a get together, a barbecue, or just drinks. Also, you can do this on Zoom. Most of everyone knows how to use Zoom, so plan a Zoom meeting, meet the candidates. That's a good way to do that. And GOTV, get out the vote. This is one of the main things we do is get out the vote. The other thing is stay educated about down ballot candidates and initiatives. Reach out to different groups. PCDP has their own website. You can visit there. AZ Dems has another website. All this information is out there, and I will be sharing with you at the end some of these links to some of these locations where you can get some of this information. The other thing you should be doing is recruiting PCs and volunteers in your precinct. Especially, it makes the work a lot lighter if you got a lot of volunteers. My neighbor over my back fence, I can hand her a flyer, and within 10 minutes, she's walked the neighborhood for me, and she is just a volunteer. On election day, one of the most important things we will be doing through that last 72 hours is get out the vote. We will be calling people. We will be texting people. We will be knocking on doors. This is our main job on election day, is to get people out to vote and help get down ballot candidates get elected. Down ballot candidates is to get a voter to vote for everyone on the ballot, down from top to bottom. Voters, we want to make sure they're not just voting for the presidents or the U.S. senators or the U.S. representatives, but as so many people do, they stop there. It's important to vote for all candidates, all the way down to the bottom of the ballot. These are where county officials, local school boards, justice of the peace, judges, and more. These voters could change the state legislature. Our state house last time was at 31 to 29, and the Senate was at 16 to 14 in the last session. We need to empower our Democrats in those areas. We need to turn the state legislators blue and stopping the bad bills we are now having to fight against with initiative and referendums. Harry Truman said, the most important job I ever had was a precinct committee captain. Legislative organizational activities. With redistricting, the LDs shapes have changed. And it's important to remember to visit PCDP for the new LD maps. There are 30 legislative districts in Arizona, 1 senator and 2 representatives for each. The number of PCs allotted to a precinct is determined by the number of registered Democrats in that precinct. That is approximately 1 PC for every 125 registered Democrats. That number might have changed, but I think that should be current. The PC's job is to motivate, educate, inspire, and inform fellow Democrats. Elections are won and lost in the precincts. The LD is where you get that support and valuable information. It's important to organize your PCs to carry out the LD plans. Some of the LDs will have fundraisers. Some of them will have get out the vote parties. Whatever it is, you need to be a part of that. So go to your legislative district meetings, reach out to all the activities that are gone, choose the one you'd like to participate in, but make sure you participate. And it's important in your precinct grouping for you to pay attention to the precinct elections that are coming up. There are changes to be made, and we will be electing new offices in the new and the legislative district. So pay attention to who's running. These are your leadership. County organizations. County organizational activities, I would suggest you go to pimadems.org. It is just a hub of resources. Their Facebook page is Facebook/Pima-Dems. If on that particular website, if you're interested in becoming a PC, visit the PCDP website and click on Take Action. That's a good place to send anybody that you might know that is interested in becoming a PC. It gives them viable information on what their duties are and what they're going to be getting into. This is also a good place to find the LD chair information. There you can find maps. By clicking on your LD map, you will find a complete listing of contacts for all the officers in your LD area. Also, there you can know what the Democrats in Pima County stand for by reviewing their platform. You should be able to be a know-it-all when you walk up to somebody's house. This is what the Democrats in Pima County stand for. And make sure that you're organized and ready to go. Just like you were at your LD meeting, you need to be ready to elect county officials. We will be having a county election sometime in December, I'm told. And so we want to make sure that you are prepared and your PCs in your area know who is running and who you can vote for. Now, the next slide, and I'm going fast through some of these. However, we are recording this, and this whole session will be up on the PCD website, so you can go back and visit it and review it in your leisure. Slow it down, speed it up, so you can maybe hear these 20 things that George talked about. The state legislator, much like the county or your legislator, it's important to keep actively involved in the campaigns. You can visit the AZDEM.org. That is the Arizona Democratic website. It has a profile of information. Also, if you need to find out more about, the van, go to adpacademy.com and you will find all kinds of information. I will have the links at the end here so you can make copies of these, and I'll show you and tell you how to do that. The other group is coordinating is the Mission for Arizona, and that is missionforarizona.com. They are organizing and helping Kelly get elected. So we want to make sure that we do keep 2 Democratic senators in our area. There also, you can, by visiting the state campaign, you will be able to find out information on state officials and our state platform also. Our next state meeting will be September the 17th, 2022. We hope to see you all there. I'm going to leave this here for just a few minutes. So if you would like, what you can do to make a copy of this is you can quickly hit print screen if you're on a computer, and that will save this particular shot to your computer, and you can save and print it up later. If you're not on a computer, you're on a notebook or a phone, you can quickly take a picture of this. I'll wait while you get your phone ready and take a picture of this. This gives some of the definitions and acronyms that I've tried to use here. I've also tried to list AZD, it's a video that's on the AZDEM's website. And so you can look and see what is a PC. That is a good one to share also with anybody that is interested. Here are the Pima County Dems, the Academy Dems, and Mission for Arizona Dems. Now, I want to talk real quick about vote centers. And once again, here's a good time for you to once again hit that print screen or take a picture, and I will stay on this particular link here for this slide here for a couple minutes. On February 15th, 2022, the Pima Board of Supervisors authorized the use of vote centers for Pima County elections, starting this year with August primaries and November general elections. Vote centers were authorized by the state legislature in legislation in 2022, and 11 other counties in the state make use of them for their election, including Maricopa County. They are a departure from the precinct-only voting that has been the norm in this county. Under the precinct system, voters could only cast a ballot on election day at the polling center specific to the precinct in which they lived. With voting centers, voters can cast a ballot at any county voting center whether it be near their home, their work, their school, or wherever they may happen to be on election day. Now, there are two new pieces of technology authorized by the board in February, making Pima vote centers possible: electronic notebook and a ballot printer. E-poll books are tablet computers that are securely connected by Wi-Fi to the county recorder's most up-to-date voting registration list. A check into a vote center, the poll book will immediately determine if the person is registered voter and in what precinct. The precinct determines which ballot the voter should be received based on the various jurisdictions and districts the voter lives in. Congressional and legislation, supervisors, community college or districts, whatever it is, it's going to be directed right to where they live. Everything else about the vote center is the same. All right, what is that? Let me back up the bus. With ebooks, a voter will go to a vote center, present their ID, and a vote center staff will use the ebook to scan the driver's license, which is the most common form of identification, and brings up the voter's information. This allows alternative forms of identification. Also, you can go to the Pima recorder's office and there is a list of alternate identification. The system will then send the voter's information to a ballot printer, which will print a ballot specifically to the precinct to which the voter lives. Everything else about the voters at the vote center is the same as in the voting precinct: location, accurate and secure. The registration data on the ebook is up to date. The software on the e-poll does not allow ballots to be printed independently of the voter being checked in. The printing command is initiated from the ebook only after the voter has been identified and signed the screen. Then a command can be sent only one specific ballot to the printer. There is no way to send a command to print multiple ballots. The software prevents users from printing ballots unintentionally. Further, the ballot worker initiating the printer command is not the poll worker receiving the ballot from the printer. Once checked in, the database is automatically updated, so the voter will not be able to go to another vote center and be allowed to vote again. The ebooks will show they have already voted and will also show whether they voted as received an early ballot or whether the early ballot has already been returned to the recorder's office. There are multiple locations, as you can see. There's a vote center vote center locator at the Pima recorder's office. I put that link up here. Make sure you make a copy of it. There's also, if you don't know which precinct you're in, here's a precinct locator. I really love what Gabby Casares Kelly has done with this information that is now up on their website. How to sign in. You can also how to sign up for a mail-in ballot. You can go to the recorder's office there and ballot by mail. You click on the link that is there, and you can register your ballot for a ballot right there, or you can call in and they will help you get you signed up for a ballot that way, or you can print up a PDF link and mail that form in if you so choose. Like I said, if you still have questions about visiting, please visit azdem.org to review that video. That is a great video. That'll give you as much detailed information as possible. Also, make sure that you, if you're one of the people that want to be trained on the van, go to the academy.azdems.org. It's good to learn more about the van at that location. With that, I will stop sharing and we will take some questions.
Okay, we had two questions. One is a question that I think had to do with something that I had showed, which asked what percentage of the independents are left-leaning? And my answer is there is a convoluted way that I don't completely understand, that the Democratic Party knows how to do that in the van, and it sits in the van. And when you look somebody up in a van, you can find that out. They get a rating. There's a rating inside the van that rates everybody who's in there, and that's how people make that list. But it's not a list that it would be by each LD. They would have to come up with that. You need to look that up and then formulate that list for yourself. And it's by percentages. How left-leaning are they? And then you make a decision about whether or not you're going to canvass them based on how left-leaning they are. Some LD outreaches are, they decide to do, they're over 60% left-leaning. Some say, oh, no, we'll go down to 50%. But that's what you come up with. You work that out with the people who work on the data within your own LD. The other question was, is it true that new PCs cannot be appointed until after the November election?
It's not that you can't be appointed until November.
Yeah.
It's that if you were to be appointed now, you would have to reapply and become appointed again after October. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. I think we are going to stop. Well, actually, what they're doing right now is that the process for appointment, the way that it works is, you fill out the form and you get everything signed, and then we sign it and we send it to elections, and election sends it to Board of Supervisors. And Board of Supervisors is actually not accepting appointment forms right now. They're just kind of holding on to them because they're waiting for changes to be drawn and approved for the supervisor districts.
Right.
I don't know if that's happened yet or not, but that was the latest reason why they were holding on to them. So basically, yes, you can turn it into us right now. Whether that, goes through 4 weeks from now or 8 weeks from now, we can't say, but it'll definitely go a lot faster, probably after November.
And I would just add to that, please don't let that ruin your enthusiasm, because we need as many volunteers as we possibly can and once you be a volunteer, the next easy step up is to become a PC. So, yeah. Yeah.
A PC is really just like, it's just the title. You can still do what a PC does and not, officially be a PC.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions, Linda?
Someone wrote and said you were going to tell people how to reach out to the LD chair to find out about their organizational structure within their LD.
Reach out to your LD chair by going to the Pima County website. And I think it's under Find. And you can go down there. It will show you the legislative district. It will say legislative districts. Click on that, and that will take you to your to the maps that are now there. It will show the old ones as well as the new ones. Use the new ones. Click on the new ones. Like for instance, I would click on LD19. LD19 would come up and show a specific map. Plus, it would list all the names of chair, second chair, secretary, treasurer, and so on and so forth. So that's where to get your information about your PC, about your legislative district chair.
Okay, Miranda just put into the chat the link to Pima County Dams.
Thank you. That's a good one.
Next question, when you're at their door, what is the best thing to tell them about how we got their name?
Voter registration information is public information. Anyone can go into the county recorder's office and get that information. Your voter registration is public. How you vote in any given election is not. Your voter registration information is a public record. And don't say anything else.
The van is the best place to get names, and you can when they're doing the breakdown for your walk list, you can break that into strictly Democrats or new Democrats or new voters, any number of things. So when you're doing your group is meeting and you're talking about your van, ask the questions. What do we want to accomplish first? Should we go out and contact the new voters in our area first and get them registered to vote? That might be one way to do it. Another way to do it is, hey, let's just make contacts with all the Democrats in our area and have a party. There's nothing more fun than having a party with a bunch of Democrats. However you want to do it, formulate a strategy. And then when you walk up to the door, you are prepared to let them know. Many people are totally surprised that there's a Democrat in their neighborhood to start with. And then secondly, they're kind of glad to see, especially if you can leave some literature, some information, and your contact information. When you're out with your van list, my suggestion is sometimes there's a phone number there and sometimes there's an email number there. It depends upon the person's desire at the time of registration if they chose to share those. If they have not, you might ask them for it. I see you didn't put your email. May I have it? And if they hesitate, you might say, I will use it personally just for contact between you and me, because there is a right of privacy and they chose not to share it in their voter registration. So respect that privacy. But if they're willing to share it with you, that's even more information and more tools for you to use.
Okay, the next question that came up, and I'll try to answer it just because it's an LD18 question.
Okay.
And this person said that they were appointed March of 2021 and wanted to know, is their term done this year in November, and can they reapply? So here's what I wonder. If you filled out the application form that had the 10 signatures on it, that's asking to be elected. That means you are getting elected in November, which means you will then be a PC for the next 2 years. That's what the election was when we filled out those forms with the 10 signatures. If you did not, and you just got appointed in 2021 and you never got your signatures, after the election, you can reapply again. So then you may reapply again. And please let me know, me specifically, since it's my job in LD18, to keep track of everyone who wants to become a PC in LD18. I will put in the chat my email address. Send me an email. I will look you up and I will get back in touch with you and we can absolutely straighten that out. I see Diane's got her hand up. So Diane, please chime in.
The Board of Supervisors elects the new elected PCs to start there in August. And then they begin October 1st. So if anybody who was already elected PC or an appointed PC, that will end in September, the end of September. Right. And the new terms start October 1st.
Several of us got caught in this in-between stage, in that we got our signatures, sent them in, but for some reason they were too late, or they're sitting over at the Pima County Board of Supervisors. Are we going to have to then do this all over again in November?
I'm not aware that there's a November election. Okay. I think the terms always end in September and the new terms begin October 1st.
Yeah, the new terms will begin at that point. the question, that's going to be there is this bit of chaos going on in the elections department this year. And we can't answer that question because I don't think we have all of the answers yet on how they're going to be handling their backlog that they clearly had with this. So I think people are going to need to hang tight, and each one of their LDs is going to have to let their PCs know in October what ended up being the official word of who got elected.
Okay.
And then we'll take care of helping anybody who did not get appointed.
Okay. Yeah, we've got several people I know in our area, so that's why I was asking. So thank you for your for the update.
Okay. Then we have a question. What about names on the ballot? Isn't it true that if more people turn up in PC petitions or write-in forms, the names appear in the ballot mailed to the registered voters? That's correct.
That's correct.
If you have more people running to be a PC in your precinct than are allotted as PCs, then yes, there is a regular election. It happens in the primary. And I don't, that what a lucky precinct to have so many people that all want to be PCs that happens to. Although my precinct, it almost happened. I see Nancy's in here. It almost happened in my precinct, and we had to catch the last person and say, we promise you, we'll get you appointed, but please do not apply right now because we just don't want to be over and end up having to be on the ballot.
Right.
So, so yes, it can happen, but it happens rarely. The question of how do you know if you are a PC now? Very good question. If you had not been a PC before and you applied to be a PC for the first time for this upcoming election, then you are not officially a PC yet. That because those yellow forms never got approved to be an appointed PC, what we were trying to do was get people to fill out both, to fill out the yellow form in order to get appointed. And then in October, their signatures would get approved. The yellow forms were never processed. So if you were filling out the signature page for the very first time, you will officially not be a PC until October. However, I'm going to say a very strong however, given that you are so valuable and you want to be a PC, we want you to think of yourself as a PC. And there are not going to be any kinds of special votes before the election that you will be needing to participate in. So please behave as if you are a PC. And then when, you will get the official notification in October, you get this great little piece of paper that tells you that you are now an official PC. So that would be my suggestion with that. George, you have anything else to
I was just going to say, it's a great piece of paper to have. You can share it with your grandkids and your kids to say, hey, I'm an elected official. And you are. So,
okay.
Act as if you think you are one, you are one. Yeah.
Okay. Miranda's saying that if you have any questions about your PC status, you can call the Pima elections, or you can call Pima Dems because they have a list at PCDP.
Okay.
But I know for some people who are asking, no, they are not officially PCs yet because I know their status. Becky has a question. Becky, do you want to unmute?
Yeah, thank you. Last time I canvassed a few weeks ago, we encountered a woman who was absolutely outraged when she wanted to know how we knew that she was a Democrat and that that she had voted in previous elections and so on. And so, we were explaining about the van, that we have this list of names from the van. And she was absolutely fit to be tied that her name is out there somewhere on a list of registered voters. You know, we explained that it's basically a list of registered voters. So my question is, who has access to the van? And is it like that the state Democratic Party pays money to get this list, or does the Pima County Democratic Party pay a certain amount of money to get that list, or what? I mean, who has access to it?
Gail is really wanting to answer this
that.
question. So Gail, why don't you unmute?
Unmute.
Never talk about the van. Voter registration information is public information. Anyone can go into the county recorder's office and get that information. Your voter registration is public. How you vote in any given election is not. Your voter registration information is a public record.
Okay.
And don't say anything else.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, we explained that to this woman, that how they voted, nobody knows. But anyway, but she would not accept that. She was just really almost violent, actually.
Tell the person to call the Pima County Recorder.
Recorder's office. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Eric, you have your hand out?
If it's okay, I just wanted to real briefly, as a new PC myself, share the experience that I've had with some of this coming together to try to just encapsulate it for people who may have some questions. And if I can make this about a 30-second thing, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Go.
fantastic. Thank you. So hi, everybody. Eric here, new PC in LD21, which is a new LD, and I'm new to being a PC, but like many of you, I got very motivated a couple of years ago. And so basically what I've learned is that working with my PC team, my LD team in my LD, we have somebody who, as was described, is able to cut me a turf. I got this really simple email that had a map on it, that had a list of 20 names of people that live within literally 500 yards of my house. And for me to walk around and do a lit drop of like, hey, here's the midterm stuff that's coming up, purely like value add. I don't even have to talk to anybody. It took me like 45 minutes on a Sunday morning. It was the easiest thing to do. The van is super easy to work with. It's just really, really straightforward, and meeting the neighbors is really, really cool. So I just wanted to pile on with all that. It does come together pretty quick. It is actually way more fun than I thought. And it really does feel like I'm making a difference. It's better than being mad all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. The van is a tool for your use only. Do not share it with other people. Like Gail said, if somebody asks you about it, you don't need to mention the van at all.
And in fact, access to the van, you need permission from somebody up in Phoenix, from the Arizona Democratic Party, to give you permission to have access to the van. So not even everyone, but every PC has the right to get access to the van for their precinct only.
Once you get approval to get in van, you can have access to academy.azdem.org courses. There is a 9-video course on how to use van. Minivan training, I think, is probably essential, but this is only if you're going to be working in van.
Any more questions? I'm just looking.
Chris has a question, but I think that's maybe more for Van. Yes and no, Chris, to your question about flexibility. That is, there are some limitations to the demographics, or to the flexibility on the demographics based on territory. So it's not a simple answer.
Okay, if you're talking about territories, I think I know, Chris, you're in LD18.
Yeah.
It's not based on territories, it's based on precincts. And the territory is just an arbitrary, the territories are arbitrarily set up by LD18. We've split up our precincts and clumped them into territorial units that people are using, but the van doesn't recognize territories. It recognizes precincts.
I was just curious how much we can slice and dice the demographics and the information, the areas of the precinct that we're in, how much flexibility we have in the van to do that. I just was mentioning territories only because I know, I believe they have the territory leads have a little bit more flexibility. And I just wondered, how much we had just generally. Like,
There's a lot you can do with the van. That's a whole class, as it was just said. You need to take classes in learning how to do it, but I've seen people do amazing things using the van. And our data team uses the van in order to create the turfs and in order to create all of the lists based on whatever we ask them to do. So that's the van is really put together quite amazingly well. But it's just, you have to learn how to use it, and it takes training.
Chris, and you and anybody else that wants more information, I would suggest you go to the Academy and run through those slides. That'll give you a kind of an overview on some of the things you can and can't do.
One of the things also that I think we would really like, some feedback from people about what other trainings you would like, because that's what our committee is set up to do. We're here to provide the trainings that you need. And if you have ideas about what you'd like to see us doing, you can email me. I'll put my email up again.
As you're typing, it looks like Jennifer has a question. Jennifer, you want to?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I wanted to say something to Eric, I think it was, who was just talking earlier. And to anybody out there who is a brand new PC and is going, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? I just wanted to pass on the best piece of advice I ever got. And it was from a woman who's been doing this for decades. And she said, if you're about to walk your neighborhood for the first time, about 4 or 5 days in advance, walk your neighborhood and leave a note at people's doors. Write out a little letter saying, hi, I'm your friendly neighborhood Democrat, blah, blah, blah. And tell them what you're going to look like when you show up at their door. I'll be wearing a blue hat, or I'll be wearing a red shirt, so that when they see you, they don't say, oh my God, who is this stranger? And I found that, first of all, it made me feel better about showing up at their door. And then they recognized me and went, oh yeah, it's you. Okay. So that can be a nice way to make you feel better about what you're doing. And thank you for doing it.
That's good. Yeah. And that way it makes you feel comfortable that you know your surroundings and you're feeling safe within those surroundings. So that's a good idea. Thanks, Jennifer.
I have just one more comment to that point, which I thought was just super. I wish somebody had given me that the first time I was a PC a zillion years ago. But now I got some cheap business cards made with my photo. I took a selfie of my face and I put the business cards on it, and I leave that behind whenever I go if I miss them. Now I'm going to run around to new people and give in advance, because that's a really great idea.
Yep.
One of the things we've done in our precinct is send out a mailing with our pictures on it. We've sort of mailed out to the Democrats in our precinct. We've taken pictures of all of us, and then we've said, with our names under it, and we've said, we're your neighborhood, and then whoever, and we split it up among all of us because we have a few PCs in my precinct. And then we would write a personal note on the bottom saying hi, with who I was out of that picture group, and say, I'll be contacting you soon to say hello. And we've sent it out. We've lit dropped it. We've, if Nancy, if you can think of anything else about what we did there, but that's kind of how we did that kind of a thing.
Good idea. Great.
Try to introduce ourselves to our neighbors.
Good idea. It looks like we have one other question. Is it Diane or Marlene? Which one of you has the question? If you'll unmute yourself and make your comment.
The two of us are confused about who our group is, who we're working with, and then what is our neighborhood that we are recruiting, going to visit, talk to.
George, I can answer that. They're in your
area. Good. Go for that. Okay.
You're not in a group. You've got your precinct and you've got your territory. And you've got your precinct leader who's been in contact with you. I believe Wally is your precinct
Wally,
leader.
okay.
So that's
So-
basically your group. I mean, it's
Okay.
so
But
that's
he's never given us a definite area that we go and talk to people. We've been in several different areas.
yes, because LD 18 has not been doing neighborhood outreaches at this point. We've been trying to hit
Okay.
you live in a precinct that's got a lot of very active Democrats, and we've been trying to hit some of the less active Democrats.
Okay.
But you will definitely, you will get that. And if you put in a request, talk to me. Yeah. Guys, just contact me and we can talk about it. And I'll make sure it gets to you.
Okay.
Thank you for volunteering. Yes, absolutely. So let's say that is a wrap. And how about that?
Okay, well, again, get in touch with me if you have any ideas, and we'd love to hear from you.
Sounds good. Thank you all. Thanks, Miranda. Everybody have a good evening.